Hey everybody, how's it going today? It's a little bit rainy out, so I'm inside. Don't like the rainy weather, but I still have my joy. I don't let nothing steal my joy. So yeah, we're in the coming up to the season of Teshuvah, the month of Elul, and today we're going to go a little bit into the biblical calendar. Again, just little shorts, and the month of Elul. So first, I guess if we're going to start the biblical calendar, we're going to read where it starts in the beginning, which is the book of Genesis, Bereshit. Now, I use this book, the Complete Jewish Bible. It's a little bit tough when you first get going because all the names are different, but they're actually the real names of everyone in the Bible. And let me tell you, the other Bibles, they don't compare to this because it's worded very differently. And it changes a lot of things, So when I first started using it, I know the NIV is a terrible version, but it was easy for me to understand. And I would put this Bible down and the NIV, and I'd look at the NIV, and then I'd look at this, and oh my goodness. And even the King James, all of them, so much different than this book. So if you want, like everyone says, what Bible should I use? This one, Complete Jewish Bible. I had it for 2 years before I started using it because I was like, oh, I will not understand it. But the thing of it is, when you first start using it, like I said, just put another Bible next to it, and then you can kind of compare and you can get used to the names. But you want one of the best Bibles out there. I believe it's this one. And just a little side note. I am a Messianic believer. I am a member of Beth Israel Worship Center, which is in Wayne, New Jersey, and I study under Jonathan Kahn. He's an amazing rabbi pastor. He doesn't really like being called that. You just call him Jonathan. And anyway, that's who I've been studying under for quite some years. And I am a licensed minister in Beth Israel. So I've been on this Messianic path probably from day one because I was saved about 11 years ago, and I was introduced to a church that just started changing over to the Feast of the Lord, and they were learning. And so I went there, and I went to another church that didn't do that stuff. So it was kind of like, what's going on? And I would ask one pastor, what's this about? Oh, we don't do that. So it was a little confusing in the beginning. But what I decided from the beginning of my walk was I wanted to walk like Jesus walked. And how was that? And if it was in the Bible, then it made sense to me. So that was a journey that I started. So I am a Messianic believer. In the beginning, all the believers were Jewish, and they were called believers. They were called believers in the way. So and they were Messianic. In this Bible, you're going to see the Messianic community. So that's what I call myself. I'm Messianic. I'm still learning. So everybody knows. Every day I learn something new. Something that I learned the day before might be a little different if I then get into more of the Hebrew and the sages and the Tanakh and this and that. And I learned there's a little bit of a difference. And the more that you get into the Jewish side of your faith, you're going to see a lot of the things that you learned, you have to relearn. So and it's just truth, and it's like undeniable. Like even the months, like how many churches teach about the true months of the Bible, the biblical calendar. So that's what we're going to do today to get up to the month of Elul, which is a 6th month, which is the month we're entering in. And it's a very special month, and you're going to find out why. Okay, so quick synopsis of the months. So the head of the year, the civil year on the biblical calendar starts on, it's the first month called Tishri, that came from the Babylonian captivity. So when they came out, they renamed the months. God called the months 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, sometimes 13. He had a few names of the months that he actually changed himself, but a lot of the months names that you might go on and Google, they came from Babylonian captivity. The Israelites bought them back, or Jewish people bought them back, and that's how they named the months. So the first month of the civil year is called Tishri, the first month, and that's when Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur happened, the Feast of Tabernacles. So I'm going to go forward, and then we're going to get back to the sacred months. So it starts from this is around September, October, the head of the year, and actually it's the new year for Jewish people. So September, October, and it changes every year. It's not the same day. And then you go to the last month, which is the month of Adar, or the 12th month, and that comes in February, March. But sometimes Adar is another month, the 13th month, and it's called Adar 2. So they don't change the name, it's just a continuation of the first Adar. And the reason for that is way back in the day, um, they uh, they decided from the barley, if the barley was ripened, whether or not they were going to add the additional month. And this was the high priests of the day. And they would go into the field and they would look and see if the barley was ready, then there was only going to be one Adar. And then if it wasn't ready, then the 13th month was come. And the reason they did this was because there's a festival called Yom Bikurim, and it's called the first fruits. That's actually the day of the resurrection of Yeshua Jesus. So everything follows a pattern here. And what they did was they took this barley that was the first, it was a wave offering of the first fruits of the barley harvest, which is the first harvest of the season, and they would wave it before God as an offering. But this had to be a ripened barley, and that determined if there was an extra month or not. And what they say is, I don't want to go into it's very there's so much to the biblical months, but some say there's it's 30 days, there's 360 days on the biblical calendar. If you read more, they're like that's not true. So I'm still, I thought it was always 360 days for many years, and then I started researching. I'm like, what? So I can't go into all that. I do know we have 365. They do not. The biblical, and I say they, us. I do live by the biblical calendar. I also live by the Gregorian calendar. But I have a biblical calendar in my office. So I know when it is, right? So I know what season it is. Okay, so now Jewish people, the Israelites, also had a second part of the month. They actually, I think they have like 5 New Years. There's the New Year's of the tree. I don't know all the other ones, but there's quite a few festivals. But anyway, they also have God ordained um, 7 sacred months within the calendar, and this was very confusing to me in the beginning. And I hope I explain it where it's not too confusing. But if you're confused, it's okay. It is a little confusing. So the first sacred month that God ordained is the month of Nisan, and that happens between March and April. Now, what happens in March and April in the month of Nisan is all the spring feasts of the Lord. They're all in here. You have Passover, unleavened bread, Feast of First Fruits, and then follows Shavuot, which is Pentecost, which the Jewish people also call it the Pentecost. You also have the 10th day of Nisan, that's the receiving of the Lamb. And anyway, so that's the first sacred month. That's what God ordained it. And he ordained it because that was when Yeshua was going on the cross. So of course he ordained it as the first sacred month. Now you go forward, and the seventh sacred month, which ends the sacred months, is the month of Tishri, which happens to be the beginning of the civil year. So you have Tishri as the number 1 month for the civil year, but you also have Tishri as the last month, the seventh month of the sacred year. And that's when all the fall feasts happen, which haven't been fulfilled yet. Which, as a messianic believer, I believe that when he comes back, and because when you start to know the feasts, if you learn the feasts of the Lord, you will understand what seasons we're in. That's where you have to start. You have to start with the feast. And actually, we're going to be going into all this. So hopefully, you will be watching the videos and you can learn as we go. It's a 40-day journey. So I hope you're going to stick with me. Okay, so seventh sacred month, the first of which the holidays is Rosh Hashanah. A lot of people know what is that. It's also called Yom Teruah. It's called the Day of Shouting. It's called the day and hour of which no one knows. It's called the coronation of a king. It's called the blowing of the trumpets, because on that day they blow the trumpet 100 times. And and the trumpet is the shofar. I gotta show you. I have a shofar, and somehow it was like right over there. It's not there. So I'm sure it's hidden in plain sight. I looked around for it because I wanted to show you my skills. Hopefully I'll find it before the first day, because every day of Elul you blow the shofar once. I think once, I'm still researching that, but I heard once, and then as I was reading some material, it said that it was like blown once in one day, but there's a couple of different blasts. So I will research that again. I'm still studying too. So this is like more like for me, we call this, the group is called the Solid Food Bible Study, and we're learning all the time. So that's why I want comments and stuff so we can learn together, and revelations that you receive from some of this stuff. So we're doing this together. So don't be too hard on me because I'm not a professional. Okay. Anyway, so now let's go to Genesis or Bereshit. And there's a whole thing on Bereshit. If you even just learn what Bereshit is, maybe I can show a video or something. I'll put it up on the Solid Food Bible Study Facebook page, which I know this is a YouTube channel, so I don't know how I would do that. I'm all new to this, but maybe I think I can attach a link or something. So I'll try to do that. I'll do my best. I know there's like nobody watching on YouTube anyway, but if by chance somebody comes across it and wants, like I said, I'll do my best. I got a lot of things to do. It's COVID time, so busy. Oh, and you know what? It took me 3 days, and here I'm wearing the same shirt again. The COVID look. We're there. 3 days, we're done. Okay, maybe tomorrow it'll get better. I don't know. But you think I care? I don't care. I'm sure half of you have the same shirts on that you wore yesterday. I mean, what do we do? Did we sweat? What do we do? It's a 2-day shirt. Maybe I'll do 3 days. We'll see. We will see. Okay, so into Bereshit. Okay, was that TMI for everybody? Oh, I hope some of you wear your shirts more than once, or I'm looking pretty grubby. Whatever. You think I care? I already told you in the last video. 58, I don't care. Anyway, okay, Bereshit Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. The earth was unformed and void. Darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the surface of the water. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw the light was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Ready? Are you ready for it? Wait for it. Wait for it. So there was evening, and there was morning. One day. Hmm. Big pause. Selah moment. That means pause. Selah. Have you ever seen that in the Bible? So who changed that calendar? Because we're not living by the right one. Okay, so now I'm just going to go a little further. Maybe we'll get back into that. But let me see. Oh, so, I want you to see right in the beginning that what God said he wanted us to be aware of with the biblical calendar so we'll know the season. Very important to know the season. So let's see. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is Genesis 1:14. God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to divide the day from the night. Let them be for signs, seasons, days, and years. And let them be for lights in the dome of the sky to give light to the earth." And that is how it was. So everything in the sky is to help us with the seasons and to show us what season we're in, because thousands of years ago they went by harvests, and strangely enough the month of Elul, it came from, I don't quote me, but I believe it came from Babylon. Yeah, it came from Babylonian captivity, and they say that Elul means harvest. So interesting that would be the name of it. Okay, so anyway, so you have two calendars within one calendar of the biblical calendar, because the reason that God made the sacred calendar was because it's sacred, because all the appointed, they're called Moedims, are within these 7 months. They start in between March and April, Nisan, and Nisan means new beginnings, and it ends in Tishri, 7 months. And the fall feasts that happen in the first month have all been fulfilled. That nobody knows about the feasts in the 7th month because Yeshua didn't fulfill them yet. He comes back to fulfill these feasts. I'm telling you, to the T, Yeshua, Jesus, fulfilled every single Jewish feast in the spring. Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, Pentecost, to a T, to the day, to the hour. And patterns, the patterns in the Bible, the foreshadowing says he's going to be doing this for the fall feast. So that's how we know the seasons. That's why it's important to know the biblical calendar. So the month of Elul also means the king is in the field. And I'm seeing we're at 15 minutes, so I'm going to end with this. The king is in the field. This is a time, all the other months are mundane, and there's the mundane and the holy in the Bible. And the festivals and Shabbat is very holy. The rest of the days are mundane. But what God says is lift up the mundane and make every day a holy day. But what happens is in the month of Elul, God has been on his throne for those 11 months. But this time, he comes out in the field to meet us where we're working our every day. And it's not so mundane anymore. Now remember, the Sabbath is when we stop work and we go to greet him. But the 1 month out of the year, this is why it makes it so special. And we don't know this as Christians because we don't learn this because it's our faith, it's the Hebrew faith. This whole book is Jewish. Of course, there's Greek, whatever, but it's Jewish. These are Jewish men, Jewish men, Jewish, when God came down, he decided to be Jewish. Yeshua's Jewish. That sounded funny then, didn't it? Jewish. Woo. Guess I'm putting a little Jewish accent on that. I don't know. I don't know what kind of an accent that was, but whatever. Anyway, so the mundane is lifted up. This is when Hashem, God, comes to meet us. So it's a very holy time. It's the time for us to, well, let me see. His chair. He's sitting next to me. You can talk to him. There's no. This is what the Jewish sages say. He's right next to you. He's come to meet you, and he's seeing what you're doing. If you're preparing, this is like when you want those prayers. When you think those prayers aren't going straight up to heaven, well, the month of Elul, Hashem is right next to you, and I feel like he's always right next to me. But this is a month of it's such a different month, and we won't know that as Christians because we don't learn the biblical calendar. But oh, let me play you the song because remember I said, I am my beloved and my beloved is mine. I'm just gonna, let me see, I have it here. Oh. I am my beloved and my beloved is mine. Here we go again. I'm going to end with preparation for a wedding. We got a lot more to talk about. I hope maybe you learned something about the biblical calendar. Again, I'm doing this with my Solid Food Bible Study Facebook page. It's a private page, but if you want to come in here and YouTube, or we want to get a discussion going on the Facebook page. Again, 40 days is a long time, and we can encourage one another, lift each other up. It's just going to be an amazing time. Remember, it's tomorrow night. It begins at sunset. So again, hope you'll join us. We love you. I love you. Okay, bye-bye.